Okay, my name is Eric Deloach. I'm a book author and I'm host of American Authors and Others. And we have a special, and I do mean special guest. This gentleman is a world visionary, or whatever. He's also, let's use the word maverick. Okay, let's just say that he's a, hey, you might want to use the word rebel, but for a good cause. This guy is phenomenal. You have to research him. You got to help him. With no further ado, let's let him introduce himself. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
Well, you see, there's a sign come on the front of my face saying the meeting is being recorded, and then it says leave video or continue. So I'm just going to press continue.
Continue.
Right, I press continue.
And you're still here. So introduce yourself to the world. Go ahead.
Right, I'm Captain Clive Howard Kelly, also known by the Amazon Indians as Rain Cloud. And I started my career when I was born, and I went to live in the forest at 9 years old with a very lame horse, because the rag and bone man was whipping the horse, and I jumped onto the rag bone cart and threw the man off and took the horse and nursed it back to health at 9.
Right.
Since then, I have never really returned into the education system.
Right.
Because I started to study nature whilst I was in the forest.
Right.
And get to know the spirits of the forest.
Right.
And so at the age of 13, I ran away, built a canoe, and canoed out into the middle of the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, that is,
right.
Where I was picked up by a trawler and went to live in Iceland in the very ice, yes. Okay. Then I came back and I was put in prison because I was attacked by 3 hard cases, and I put the 3 of them down and one of them died. So I was put into the Strange Ways prison to be punished for that at the age of 17.
Okay.
Then I was taken out of Strange Ways because they couldn't control me after beating me up and putting me in a straitjacket and starving me and breaking my arms.
Okay.
They then sent me to the training ship that Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, was part of. And he used to come and visit us. And it was called Training Ship Warfleet. In other words, the fleet to fight the wars of England. And I went there to be trained to be an officer in the Royal Navy. And there's a whole story goes on from that. I ran away, I escaped after 16 months.
Let's go here. Tell us, and this is kind of a tradition on this program, American Authors and Others. Tell us about your parents. I mean,
my father and mother were professionals. My father was the top fighter of England, top boxer and wrestler, and he was also a singer and had 8 different pubs.
Okay.
And I was brought up in 8 different music hall pubs.
Okay.
Every night listening to music and having to fight for my father when they attacked him. Only at the age of 11, I used to jump onto the fighters totally naked, covered in soap, so they couldn't hold me and get them off my father. Okay. Later on, my father died because they gave him brain damage. Okay. And so I carried on and became the top fighter of Lancashire. And I had to fight all the hard cases, but I did it and I won every single one.
Amazing. So tell me about your lovely mother.
My what?
Lovely
my
mother.
My mother is called Connie, and she was the original Ma Kelly, the famous Ma Kelly of Blackpool, because she opened the very first Greasy Spoon Cafe.
Okay.
And she's famous, and they now have big theatres in Blackpool called Ma Kelly's after her. That's my mother.
Now tell me now, do you recall, I only had a grandfather that I recall. Everybody else was dead pretty much before I was born. Now, do you recall on either side of the family any grandparents?
My grandmother's house was blown up in the war.
Okay.
Both of them, my grandfather and my grandmother. The houses were blown up, and I was only a child, and I used to play in the ruins to try to find food and things amongst the ruins of the houses that were blown up.
And we're talking about World War II. We're talking about World War II.
Yeah, we're talking about World War II. I like to play.
You like to play? Hey.
Yeah, I like to play drums, and my parrot sings and dances.
Okay, your parents sings and dance. Now,
no, my parrot. I got 2 parrots.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, let me ask you this: Do you remember any of your grandparents as a kid?
I remember them both. Yes. My grandfather. Yes. My grandfather was running the council of Manchester, and he was the one in charge of all of the horses that used to pull the transport.
Okay.
My grandfather.
Okay. Right.
And my father owned Moorfield Engineering, a factory in Manchester, Denton, that made the tail wings for the Spitfire aircraft that won the war for Great Britain. Wow. When I was a child, he taught me to switch the machine on for him. Right. Because I learned at an early age how to make the Spitfire aircraft. Right. And I have just had an exhibition showing that photographs and that story at the Harris Museum and Library in Preston, Lancashire. Awesome. Right.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you recall anything that any of your parents or grandparents said to you that you heard as a child that stood with you and has impacted you throughout your whole life? Now, are you 81 right now?
Yeah. 81 now.
Okay. 1940. Born 1940.
Yeah.
What date exactly? July what?
17th.
July 17th. I'm not too far behind you.
The 17th of the 17th of the 7th.
Wow.
1940.
Yeah. Well, I was born June 21st, so I'm not too far behind you. Month-wise. I'm 52. So I'm a kid compared to you. But let me ask you, do you remember anything that they said that stuck to you? Let me give you an example. My mother, I caretake for her now. She's 78. And she would say, you don't need an army. This might be helpful. You don't need an army to get stuff done. You only need a few basically good men or women to get something done. And the other stand that she says is like, do everything in moderation. That's
right. My mother used to say, do everything in moderation. And she would always say, live and let live.
Hey.
Live and let live.
Now, what was she saying? What was your understanding of her when I understand that's clear. When she was saying live in moderation, what was she saying to you?
No, she didn't say live in moderation. She said that my eyes will kill me because I ate too much. And then she taught me to live in moderation.
Okay.
And then she taught me to live and let live. Here's a little poem. Listen to this. Okay. Listen to this. Hey, mother, mother, there's a strange man at the door with a familiar sort of face you say you've seen somewhere before. He says his name is Jesus, and can we give him half a crown? He says he's run out of miracles, and now his luck is down. Well, mother, I'll give him 6pence and say that's all we've got today. Hey, mother, he also asked for a drink of water. I said we hadn't got a cup. So I gave him the 6pence, and he really was made up. He gave me this autographed picture and these 3 rusty nails.
Oh. Oh, okay. 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 Now, okay. Okay, let's go here. So tell
Now
me
I'll give you another one. Here's another one
okay.
I wrote. Okay. I
Okay.
don't want to conform to a normal life of work and worry, trouble and strife. Good morning, Fred. How's the wife? Stand at work stop. Stamp the work clock. Pack of sandwiches, flask of tea. Oh no, that's not for me. No. Join the normies playing darts. Don't tell them you think they're a load of farts. Home to bed now, 10:30. Will it ever end? If so, when?
Okay, that is very creative, very creative. Very good.
Yeah, I write poems. I write poems. I've had a
Okay.
few published, you know.
Okay, okay. Now tell me, was there anything that your father said, or I guess you followed the example? He was a success in business, and what is I noticed about researching about you, there's like nothing you can't do. I mean, you to me when I saw you studied your story like all night last night, you are like, I have to call you the king of business. You are literally the king of business. There's nothing that you can't do. You have to tell them, look, you have to tell them about the story of Brazil when you came to Brazil with the rings. You have to tell the public.
I stitched 2,000 of those rings. Here it is, this type of ring here, you see. Can you see?
I can see.
They come apart in pieces and they are called puzzle rings.
Right.
And I smuggled into England 84,000 of them in the floor of my Volkswagen camper van. I drove to Turkey and smuggled them all the way back.
Wow.
And I learned to make them as well in the end. Yeah. When I went to court, the police in England put 1 kilo of hashish in my bag because I went to court every day for selling peace signs and horseshoe nail jewelry made by me.
Okay.
On the streets of London.
Okay.
And so to get me to go to prison for a longer time,
right,
they put hashish marijuana in my bag.
Oh,
well, they did the same with Mick Jagger, Paul McCartney, Jim Capaldi,
right,
and John Mayall.
right.
They did us all, you know.
Well, tell
And
us,
when I went to court,
right,
before the judge, which we call the old beak,
okay,
I carried a sack on my back,
right,
with 50 kilos of nail pendants and necklaces,
right,
and I poured them all out on the floor of the courthouse.
right.
And the judge said, "What's this?" And I said, "Well, if you're going to send me to prison, I've got all these to sell, and these are worth over £100,000 if I sell them, and that money goes to disabled people. So you're not going to put me in prison just on my own. You're going to make a lot of disabled people not have any money." And he let me off. I just thought I'd tell you that story.
Oh man,
I smuggled the puzzle rings into England by opening them like this. Watch. Oh. Watch.
Okay.
You see this ring? This beautiful ring. Can you see it?
I can see it now. Yes.
Right. Well, watch. Look again.
Yeah.
Now, watch. You see?
I see.
It's in 4 pieces.
Okay, 4 pieces.
Now, to put that back together, you've got to have training.
Right.
Because it's called a puzzle ring.
Puzzle
and
ring.
we said that if your husband gave you a puzzle ring,
right,
and you took it off because you were being unfaithful and went with another man,
right,
you couldn't be able to put it back together. So your husband would know you was being unfaithful.
Yeah.
So I sold hundreds of thousands of those on the streets of London.
Right.
And when I went to Brazil, I opened them all up like this so that they wouldn't know what they were. And if you listen, they jingle. Can you hear?
I can hear it. Hear it.
So I stitched them all on my clothes like this.
Right.
And I came before the customs in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Right.
And they said, what are those? What are you doing? Who are you?
Yeah.
And I just laughed. I said, I'm the metal man going to jingle at the carnival.
Right.
So I did not have to pay any duty, which was 300% duty on jewelry. 300%. That means if you pay £1, you have to pay £4 because 300% of £1 is £3.
Right.
I didn't pay any duty.
Yeah.
And within one day on the Rio de Janeiro beach, I made $20,000. I sold them all.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
What year was that? What year was that?
That was not 1968.
And hey, I was born 69. Now, ain't that fun? Isn't that I wasn't even born. So
right.
How old were you in 1968?
Well, I was 28.
28.
68.
You know what?
28.
Yeah. You now, I got a joke for you. I got a joke because I don't want this to be misunderstood.
I'll go on then.
Okay. You really should be ashamed of yourself. You know why? Because if you brought those rings over to America, you would solve the divorce problem.
I did bring them to America.
I know, because you know what? Because it would all of the cheaters
we copied them. I worked for the top jeweler, called Antonio Puccio, the very top one, that made jewelry for Jackie Kennedy.
Okay.
And I worked and I lived with him, and I taught him to make these rings.
Yeah.
We sold them all over America.
Look, you would actually, and you probably did save some marriages, because are you got the bad ones out because all the cheaters would be caught. They couldn't put the rings back together again.
No, even I now, after I've had a stroke, find it hard to control my fingers to put it back together. That'll probably take me an hour to put back together, but before, it would take me about 10 seconds.
And see, there we go, your entrepreneur spirit, and you gotta tell them now, because I mean, you're like the old great uncle. So tell us the story about going down the water, and you were singing. It's connected with music, and all these Indians are singing.
Right. Well, that was Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. That was the song of the Krishna movement of India, that was sung by George Harrison, because he used to lead the Krishna people in England and built a great big friary monastery for the Krishna. And they brought kilos of real rubies and I got one box, 1 kilo box of real rubies given to me by George Harrison.
Okay, of the Beatles.
Yeah.
So look, hey, we have to talk about this. I mean, I'm a Christian, but I guess I'll have to make an exception here. For this one little thing, I'll have to ask for forgiveness. Can
you see that photograph at the top?
Yeah.
It says the Beatles business partner, and there are all the pictures of the Beatles around. I
have to be careful with forgive me. God forgive me, and you forgive me. But we have to talk about strawberry fields.
Right. Now, I had a banana farm in Rio de Janeiro in the jungle. And it was next to the Guarani Indian village. So it was full of waterfalls. And so I said to the people on the bridge, I made a bridge across the river to come to my farm, you see. And I invited all the people to come from the cities. And as they crossed the bridge, they stood on one of the planks of wood, and it switched on the speakers that said, "You cannot come off this bridge if you are wearing any wrappings, clothes, or shorts, or bikinis."
Right.
You must be totally nude and natural as God made you.
Okay.
So everybody took the clothes off and came to the Strawberry Fields Club, where I taught them English by playing the music and the words of the Beatles records.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
So they made
right.
love in the caves. They made love sexually in the caves to the Beatles music.
Right. Now, did the Beatles, the Strawberry Fields, that's the song, right?
Strawberry Fields forever. Let me take you down, 'cause I'm going down to Strawberry Fields forever. Yeah, that's the Beatles song. Yeah.
And did they make that song because of the community that you made there, the nudist camp?
No, they didn't. They made that song because there is a park in Liverpool called Strawberry Fields where they used to play.
Okay, but it worked perfectly for what you created in Brazil.
Yeah, right. Yeah, everybody wanted to take the clothes off. It was too hot. It's 36 degrees most of the time, and it rains every single day of the year.
Yeah.
In that particular place in Rio de Janeiro. So even if you've got clothes on, they're going to be damp.
Right.
Because it rains every day, all day, on and off, you know. So it's better to take your clothes off and just enjoy it. Right. And keep diving in the river and going to listen to the music in the caves underneath the waterfalls.
What celebrities came to the nudist camp?
Oh, you name it.
Do some name dropping.
Well, you know, I really can't do that. I can tell you who used to come and sing in my clubs in the city. Okay. But I can't really tell you who, you know, I can't do that.
Okay, watch the videos. Go to his website and watch the videos.
Don Bon Jovi, George Harrison, Gilberto Gil, many people came. And that's just a few names I've given you.
No, those are big names. What year was from what year to what year did you have that establishment?
Well, that would be about right. 1973 to 1977.
Okay. So let's go back to Little Richard.
Little Richard baptized me.
So tell us that story. Tell us about that. What happened?
Well, I booked Little Richard. You see, I was a theatrical agent, so I would book Little Richard, John Lee Hooker, Ike and Tina Turner, Elton John, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Kinks. Anyway, I booked Little Richard and Bill Haley. You remember, get into that kitchen and rattle those pots and pans. That was Bill Haley.
Right.
Well, he came with Little Richard. Okay. And I booked Little Richard to play half an hour in the club I owned in Rochdale, Lancashire.
Okay.
While Bill Haley was playing. Okay. And then in my great big American Chrysler Windsor car, I drove him over the mountains to another club owned by a friend of mine. So he would play half an hour in my club and a half an hour in my friend's club. So halfway there, I was driving at 100 miles an hour over the mountains.
Wow.
And he pulled the keys out of the ignition whilst we were driving.
What?
Yeah, you know, he just leaned over and pulled the keys out.
Was he on something?
And he said, I'm going, because there was a river running along the side of the road where we were driving, you know?
Right.
So he said, get out this car now. So I got out the car and he took his ring off, his gold ring off his finger.
Right.
And he threw it into the river. And he said, will you get that back for me?
Yeah.
So I said, well, where's the car keys? He said, I'll give you the car keys. Yeah. When you give me back the keys, the ring.
Right.
So I went into the river. That's my parrot.
Yeah.
Shut up, Becky. I went to get the car keys,
the
and
ring.
little Richard came behind and
Yeah.
pushed me into the water and held me under. And when I came up, he said, "I baptize you, Mr. 100 miles an hour Kelly," and gave me back the keys.
Oh my God. What year was that?
That was year 1964.
19. All of the, hey, I must be boring because all the fun happened before 1969.
Well, 69 was a good year. Yeah, we had fantastic. I can't do anything with this parrot. Jassy, will you come and get the parrot, please? Just wheel him out into there. He's all right when he's with me.
I think the parrot wants to be the star. But you're the star today, but I think the parrot wants to fight for who's the star of the show today.
No, he's all right. He is a star.
Yeah.
He is a star.
Yeah, but he wants to be the star. Yeah, but he wants to be
You
the star.
see, he was been waiting for you. Just wheel that cage away from there because I can't talk with him in just. Please. He is the star and he's been waiting for you on my shoulder for 3 hours.
Okay.
Right? Okay. And so he got tired. And now, she's correcting him now. She's got him, she's taking him out the room.
Okay.
Right, she's gone out the room with him. Now we can talk.
Okay, now we can talk. Yeah, he wanted to be this. He definitely wanted to be the star of the show, but you're the star of the show.
I don't know about me being the star of anything, really.
No, you're the star. No, you're the star of the show. So okay, so that was 19. You said 1964.
That was 1964. The same year.
Yeah.
The Rolling Stones received the money and
they owe you
signed
some
the
money,
contract.
right? They owe you some money for a gig.
They owe me a show I paid them to do, and they've signed the contract. Only Mick Jagger and Brian Jones arrived, and the mayor of Rochdale turned the other three away because he was a gay, and he wanted all the little boys for himself. So he turned them away. He wouldn't let them in the club, his gang of cronies and policemen.
Yeah.
And so they opened the town hall cellars, basement of the town hall, which was a very, very old building.
Right.
They opened it as a music club and put me out of business the next week. Wow. So the Rolling Stones still owe me a paid for contracted show, or the government of England, because he was the mayor of Rochdale, you see.
Right. Right. Now, how was tell me about Tina Turner? That was a foxy chick, foxy young lady.
Well, Tina came with Ike.
Let me be politically, in this time you have to be politically correct. She was a
Tina
lovely
was a taxi
young
dancer.
lady. Huh?
What's that?
I said I have to be politically correct. She was a lovely young lady. But continue. Tell me about Tina Turner.
Well, she was a taxi dancer. Like my wife was in Brazil, taxi dancer. They dance for money. Any old dancer will do. Right. I'm your taxi dancer, dancing for money. Yeah. Do you remember the song?
I remember the song.
That's Tina Turner.
Did she sing for you? She came and performed, right?
Right, yes, of course. And she stayed at my house.
Okay.
And so did little Millie. And so did little Eva.
Right.
Like Millie, my boy, lollipop, da da da. You make my heart go clippity clop, da da da. You are my sugar candy. You are very randy, da da da. And little Eva, do the locomotion. And I did a lot of locomotion with little Eva, believe me, with the little white knickers on and a dark skin. She was lovely in the moonlight in my bedroom. She was like a butterfly. All I could see was little white knickers in the moonlight. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and moving forward, so tell me about hanging out with some of the Beatles. I guess after they did a show, they would come over and hang out at your club. Tell me about that.
Well, that's where they spent all of the time. In 1963, they spent 17 evenings
Right.
in my club,
Okay.
eating, drinking, and playing music and
Okay.
rehearsing.
Right.
And then John Lennon and Cilla Black, who was my girlfriend, Cilla Black. You remember Cilla?
Okay.
Cilla was very, very famous, Cilla Black.
Okay.
We would go ghost hunting in Liverpool Cathedral. We would go opening the tombs, you know, with
Wow.
John Lennon. And once the police went after us and surrounded the Liverpool Cathedral, and we had to escape into John Lennon's apartment, which was at 3 Argyle Court, which was just across the road from the tombs of Liverpool Cathedral. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I'll give you many more stories, but
I know you had. So tell me about your friend. He was very I really liked him. Your business partner. How long ago did he pass? The first manager of the Beatles. When did
he passed 1 year ago, October.
Okay. Okay. How old was he when he passed?
83.
83. And what was the time that y'all had
No, sorry.
Yes.
Alan was 11 years older than me.
Okay.
So it would be 93 when he passed.
Okay. Now, when was it that you had this famous video? Y'all were talking about the good old days and you were drinking coffee. That video. Do you remember that video?
Yeah, that was in the Briardine Hotel.
Okay.
In Cleveland's Blackpool.
Okay.
The best in the West, owned by my brother, you know, owned by my very best friend, Rodney Hayworth.
Okay.
And his wife, who was my girlfriend before he married her.
Okay. Well, now, what year was that y'all had this famous
the meeting? Well, you see, I'll just tell you something now before we go any further.
Okay.
There's a very well-known soap opera on the television and the cinema,
yeah,
called Fools and Horses.
Okay.
Right, with Del Boy and Boise.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Well, Fools and Horses was based on my life.
Okay.
The script writer followed me around the pubs of London.
Okay.
And filmed and recorded the stories I told.
Right.
And then they made the best soap opera ever in the world, called Fools and Horses. And it's based on me, who was called Del Boy, but it should have been me, Kelly Boy.
Right.
But when they asked me to do it, I said, no, I'm going to the Amazon to make a film there. And I went, and the film I made was nominated for the Oscar.
Right.
And then it was narrated by Marlon Brando.
Oh my God.
Yes.
So tell me, how did you meet Marlon Brando?
I rented his house. I rented his house. Let me finish talking. Yeah, I rented his house in Mulholland Drive, Hollywood.
Okay.
I live with him.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to get out. Only thing I wanted to say is one of the greatest actors of all time. That's all I wanted to say. No, I did not want to. I apologize.
No, it's all right. Yeah, he is the greatest actor, without any doubt. And the next house next door was Kevin Costner. Yeah.
Okay. Wait, this was in England.
Yeah, Kevin Costner. And the film called Dance with the Wolves.
Okay.
And Avatar was written about me. It was me. Okay. I was the man instead of Kevin Costner. And the film Waterworld was written by James Cameron before he wrote the film Avatar, whilst on my trimaran with me, making a film called Captain Kelly. That was me. He made 3 films about me called Captain Kelly, Sailing Tips. James Cameron then wrote the film with me, Avatar.
Okay.
And you know Avatar, it's a big film, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a huge, that is.
Yeah, well, you see, he copied with the film Waterworld, was a trimaran. So he copied my boat in that film. And I should have been in that film, but I didn't want to, because I don't like Hollywood. I don't want to be a big star, you know? When I went to Hollywood, I just got fed up of the people and the style of life. And I went to live with Frank Zappa,
Right.
the rock and roll musician, and Janis Joplin in Malibu Canyon, just behind Hollywood. Because I didn't really like
tell me about her. I really liked her as an artist.
Janis. Well, she's a nice girl. She loves having a good time. She likes cocaine and she likes group sex. She loves group sex.
Oh no!
Once that night, she screwed 18 guys in one night while I was there. She loved to do blowjobs. She was specialized in that.
Well, okay. So what I wanted to get at is that I really enjoyed her music. I think that I really thought she was organic, and
she was really good. She could scream like nobody else. I mean, Tina Turner's pretty good as well.
Yes.
They both Tina Turner and her have got that same sort of really high-pitched bluesy voice.
Right.
And
great stars. Both of them great stars. Yeah. So, okay. So when you met your friend that passed, you started with him, right? And the manager of the Beatles, and then you kind of branched out into your own.
I was working on the ship that was taking the children slaves. The Catholic Church was taking all the children that did not have parents after the war, was taking them to Australia.
Okay.
And I was the steward aboard the boat called the Aronze, the Orient Line. And I was the one that used to clean the cabins of the children. Yeah. And the first class passengers would come and have sex with the children during the voyage.
Oh my God.
So I reported this in Australia. Right. And then the police came, took me, arrested me, put me in prison, and beat me black and blue with sand inside socks because I knew too much. They wanted to kill me.
Right.
But the first class chief steward of the boat, he came with an ambulance and took me out of prison and paid the prison authorities to let me go.
Okay.
Right, the chief steward, but he was gay. So he put me in a first class cabin because he only wanted to screw me. That was all he wanted, sex with me.
Oh my God. We're really getting kind of tough. If we can just stay away from this, you
can't stay away from sex. Sex is what motivates life.
I do understand. So tell me.
It's the biggest part of my life. It's everywhere I go because I'm a good looking boy.
Right.
And everybody wants sex with me. And that was the problem.
Okay, so tell me when you met.
That's why I was such a good fighter. So I had to fight everybody off all the time.
Right, I understand. So tell me about you met the first manager of the Beatles. Seemed like I really had in that video that you were drinking coffee. You really got along well, and it looked like you really learned a lot from him. And it seemed that
when we first started, we only had a 1-room bedroom flat with one double bed and one sofa.
Right.
And it's snowing in Liverpool, so I sleep on the sofa, and he sleeps in a double bed with his wife.
Okay.
So we're that close.
Right.
Nothing. He just chases his wife all night nude with a top hat on for a joke.
Right.
That's it. That's life in Liverpool.
Okay. So how did he come about? How did him and the Beatles come together?
Well, much the same as me. His father used to have public houses. My father had 8 different public houses with music.
Okay.
So Alan's father also had public houses and dance halls.
Okay.
So Alan used to go to the dance halls as a child and wash up and clean the cups and sweep the floor. Right. And then as he grew older, he started to put on dances himself at the Royal Art College of Liverpool.
Okay.
And then he opened the Jacaranda, which was just a coffee bar.
Right.
And in the basement, he put bands, but it started with an all-steel band. And I was in the band as well, playing oil drums. That was before the guitars. They were expensive guitars.
Right.
So we started our music just with oil drums.
Right.
And when I was playing at the age of 13 with Lonnie Donegan in Manchester,
Right.
We also had no music for the instruments, so we made our own instruments from tea chests and
Right.
sweeping brushes with a
Okay.
cord from the top of the sweeping brush to the tea chest. That would
Right.
make the base.
Okay.
And a scrubbing board, which our mother washed the clothes on, we would
Yeah.
use go to get that sound of scraping.
Right.
We didn't have real instruments, but that was called skiffle.
Okay.
Skiffle music.
Okay.
And that's the music Lonnie Donegan played and I played to start with.
Okay. Oh, that's great. That's great. And so were you there when he first met the Beatles?
Yeah, I was on the door. Yeah, I was the doorman.
Okay.
I was the doorman of the Jacaranda Coffee Bar, where
Okay.
the Beatles came and asked, "Can we practice in your basement, Mr. Williams?"
Right.
And he said, "Yes, you can." And he
Yeah.
put them into the basement.
Right.
And they did not even have microphone stands.
Okay.
So we used brushes with the microphone tied to the brushes.
Right.
And I stood on the door to keep all the hard cases away so
Right.
they wouldn't get beaten up.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you notice their talent of writing? I mean, they are what I
John
like.
Lennon. John Lennon was a genius.
Okay.
Right. And I saw them before I went to the Jacaranda. I saw them play the first ever gig when
Okay.
they were called the Quarrymen. And
Okay.
that was the day that John Lennon met Paul McCartney. I was there the first day they met.
Wow.
In a church hall in Liverpool.
Right.
Right. John Lennon was a genius.
Yeah.
He was a rebel without a cause, just the same as me. But we
Right.
do have a cause, and the cause is global warming.
Right.
The wrongness of the capitalistic system.
Right.
That's always been wrong, and that's been destroying the planet by creating wars,
right,
and selling arms to the
right,
Arabs and the Muslims, and creating wars around the world to make money.
right,
Now, John Lennon knew that, as I know that.
right.
And so he started to write songs about being a rebel right when he was at school at the art college in Liverpool.
So tell me, you said from the start, before he even got a record deal, of course, you saw the
before they became the Beatles. I knew them playing when they were called the Quarrymen.
And you saw the talent, the enormous talent in John Lennon then.
I started what?
I said you were witness and you heard the songwriting talent of John Lennon then.
Oh yeah, well, he was always writing songs and singing them to us, all the time.
So would he just go on the steps outside, write a song and come back and play it?
No, he'd just sit there having a cup of coffee or a cup of tea with a jam butty. If he had a penny to put the jam on the bread, because it was an extra penny for jam on your bread.
Right.
And he would sit there writing songs on the pieces of paper on the table called the serviettes, the nappies, on the table.
Right.
And he'd write the songs.
And you could tell when he would like perform it for people. He would sing a little bit, and you were like, "Well."
John Lennon gave me the gold disc in a frame for Imagine. I got that disc. He gave me that disc. I have it.
Right.
Gold disc. I'll show you a picture of it. Just a minute. It's up there. If you. Oh no, I won't show you now because.
Yeah, that's fine.
They're all there in my photographs on Facebook.
I believe you. I definitely believe you. So tell me. Yeah, go ahead.
Go on.
No, you go ahead.
Well, they were just the guys. We all lived together,
Right.
We all shared each other's houses, and my house was everybody's house, and Alan's one room flat was everybody's one room flat.
Yeah.
And Bob Wooler, who was the disc jockey in the Cavern, used to live in Alan's wife's house.
Okay.
Because Alan's wife was an actress.
Okay.
And so she had some money, and so she had a little hotel.
Okay.
Where everybody used to stay. And Bob Wooler was one of the guests that lived there.
Right.
And Bob Wooler was a disc jockey that used to put the Beatles on in the Cavern Club.
Okay. Okay. Did you hear great melodies when they were with the first manager? Did you heard talent? You didn't know where they were
I went
going?
to Germany, Hamburg with them.
Okay.
And they used to play 12 hours a day. You know, German, English, all mixed together, everything.
Right.
And every day at night, the few hours that they got when they were not working, they would be writing songs, you know.
Right, right.
Yeah.
What did, in your opinion, because I mean, you're a person of you know, that's a, you know, a great person. What made the Beatles great, in your opinion?
The Liverpool accent with the Irish mixture, the Irish and the Liverpudlians, because the Irish are really, I'm Irish, you know.
Okay.
I mean, so John Lennon was Irish.
Right.
And so the Irish bars and the Irish songs mixed with the American music of Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley and Sonny Boy Williamson and Carl Perkins. Right. Because these are the records that we used to smuggle over from America in the Merchant Navy boats, right?
Right.
And then Beatles would get these records before anybody else.
Right.
Like, for instance, Good Golly, Miss Molly.
Yeah.
You know, by Little Richard.
Right.
John Lennon would sing that before anybody else in Liverpool. So that alone made him famous.
Okay. Okay.
So, because the first group
right
that got the American records to sing in Liverpool became famous for that.
Wow. Wow.
And then when they became famous, that means they got more money to play in clubs.
Right.
So they had more time during the day because they did not have to go to work anymore.
Right.
To smoke a good joint of marijuana or take some LSD, as the Beatles did, lots of LSD, lysergic acid. And when you take lysergic acid or you smoke good marijuana, then your imagination is opened up. You open the channels up in your mind.
Right.
And all of the memory blocks that are in your mind, like little sand that goes into a shell and makes a pearl of wisdom. Right. That pearl of wisdom comes out of mind in words.
Wow.
You write hit songs.
Right. I okay, I have a minute. He passed.
Like, for instance, Eleanor Rigby picks up her mask that she keeps in the jar by the door.
Right.
What is it for? All those lonely people, where do they all come from? All those lonely people. And that was about the mask that she keeps in the jar by the door. And now this pandemic of COVID has come out. Right. They were singing about the mask that everybody should have. Right. But that was well before time. But that's something I know to be a fact. I started to manufacture beautiful masks in 1974. Okay. Beautiful masks with pearls on them and nice drawings and things. You know, fashionable masks. Right. To go to dances with, so you won't have to breathe the cigarette smoke. Right. But you still look beautiful. So that was one of the things I used to sell at the rock and roll festivals and on the streets of London, because I was Del Boy of Fools and Horses. Okay. And all of my friends were the different characters in Fools and Horses, which is the best selling worldwide soap opera. Okay. Okay. Right. Right. So yeah. You have a way. You might be a good songwriter yourself, but I do write songs. Yeah, I can tell. But no, what I had a friend. He passed away. His name is Mark Carter. Jewish name is Maynard Cohen, and I was in New York. Lived in New York 16 years, and this guy wrote for Twisted Sister. But I remember one night he was my neighbor, and he took a joint.
I never took any drugs. I'm Mr. Innocent or whatever. I never, but he did. And he played one song, Love is for Suckers. And it was like 10 times better than if he didn't take the drugs. I was like, totally, he did new things with it. I was like, oh my goodness. So I do know what you mean. I do know what you mean.
Have you ever heard of John Lee Hooker?
Yeah, I think I've heard that name.
John Lee Hooker and I used to smoke dope, and he was a guy who turned me on to it in the first place, John Lee.
Right.
And he sings the best blues ever because he smokes dope. And John Lennon wrote the best words of his songs because he took lysergic acid and smoked dope.
Right.
The songs of the Beatles and the Rolling Stones come from a turned on mind. Right. Turned on not by coffee, because that's the worst drug, coffee, or alcohol, because that's another bad drug, but by good drugs that give you good thoughts, like marijuana and lysergic acid, and also ayahuasca from the Amazon, and mushrooms. Right. Now, they are not dangerous drugs. Right. But cocaine, methane, methane crystals, amphetamines, they are very bad drugs for your health. Right. And so I've spent literally hundreds of thousands of pounds over the years advertising in newspapers to tell people not to take amphetamine drugs, but to smoke marijuana because it's good for you, but don't drink alcohol because it rots your livers. I promote marijuana, and then I denounce the people who manufacture whiskey and rum, because they are usually politicians that don't want marijuana to become legal. Okay. Because they control the whiskey, so you will drink it. And the wine manufacturers. Now, here's something else that'll blow your mind. Okay. Jesus Christ turned the water into wine in the town of Cana. Okay. But really what it was powdered marijuana he put in the water. And the people drank the water and they thought they had drank wine because they felt high. Okay. That is a true story. I mean, that I've got all the way from way back from the parchments in the desert before the Bible was written. Right. I can't. Right. Okay. That's a little too heavy for me right there. But listen, you're interviewing me because I know things. Yeah. Well, so you're going to get a lot of knowledge from me that you have never even thought about accepting. Because I'm a truthful, and all you've been listening to all your life is untruthful. Well, I'm gonna. Yeah, because I am a rebel. I am a rebel with a cause. I think you're a good guy. I mean, I don't discount, and I do believe you're a good guy. So but that one, well, of course I'm a good guy. You wouldn't be talking to me, would you? Right. I have to. Don't that. Hey, I'm going to part with you on that one. I can't. That's a little too heavy. I can't go with that one. But it's a little too heavy, man. That's the truth. Since when was the truth too heavy? It's just that nobody's told you the truth before. Okay, that's why you think it's heavy. See what I mean? I'm gonna stand my ground on that one. But you got no ground to stand on. You're standing on the bog. you don't know. But I've studied religion. I've studied it. I've been with the Berbers in the Morocco. I've been with the Arabs. I've been with the Japanese. I've been with all the tribes in Australia, Canada, Brazil, Indonesia. And I've studied, and I've been the first one to go to tribes that no other person has ever gone to before. So you're getting knowledge that you've never heard before. Okay, let's just. So you shouldn't have a closed mind. You should open the doors of your mind. Look. Let's let the pearls of wisdom roll in. Well, let's look. We're going to agree to disagree on that one. That's fine. Well, that's fine. I listen. Everybody disagrees when they don't believe, and they don't believe because they've been taught opposites. Well, when you're a child between the ages of 3 and 7 years of age, they get you to go to church and read a Bible. That's called brainwashing.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
putting in this grain of sand into the pearl shell.
Okay.
When the
Okay.
shell is formed, the pearl, you can never get rid of it. It's always
Okay.
there. You've
Right.
been brainwashed.
Okay.
Now, when you take
Which,
certain mind-opening plants,
right.
you take away the brainwashing,
Okay.
and you can see clearly now the
Yeah,
light
right.
is in.
Okay. Okay.
Can see clearly now the light is in.
Okay. 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 But I'm just gonna disagree on that one. But let me tell
You
you about
can't
my.
disagree. You can't disagree.
I'm gonna
How
disagree.
can you disagree when I'm telling you?
I'm
I'm telling you my personal experience. You can't
That's
disagree.
good. No,
That would
that's
be
fine.
saying that I'm a liar.
No.
And
I'm
then
not.
why you're interviewing me if I'm a liar?
No,
You
I'm
see what I
just
mean?
saying.
You're contradicting yourself now, and you
No. I
shouldn't do
said
that.
no. I said I disagree on that. We can.
I'm
agree,
your
we can agree on
teacher,
something.
my dear friend.
Yeah.
I am your teacher.
Okay.
So
That's
learn.
right. Yeah. Look.
Right.
We
Learn.
on that one. Look, on that one, we're going to disagree. But that's we can still be friends. Don't worry about it. But
I know that. I listen. I don't have any enemies in the whole world.
Right.
I don't know what an enemy is.
Right. But
I don't have that philosophy of the mind.
But
I agree with everything, but then I give the logic of everything that I have learned.
Okay.
Well, I agree, and I give my personal history experience.
Okay.
I don't disagree.
Okay. Well, let me just tell you what happened to him. Okay. So,
who?
Mark Carter. So
Oh,
he about 2 years ago he passed. And he was a heavy smoker, and he did drugs, and I understand. And he alcohol, but he's a good guy. He taught me songwriting. And he wrote for the Twisted Sisters, my goodness. So I mean, come on. He was very talented, and he's a good guy. So I love the guy. So as a mentor, and you're a good guy. And but we can disagree. It's no problem. What I do agree about is your mission to save the world with the pollution of the world, and try to help the Indians. I believe I agree with you on those things. And what I admire about you is that what can I say? I mean, you're great in terms of I research you, and you always find a way out of no way. And how many businesses have you had in your whole life? Different businesses. It had to be over.
I have been in 6 different prisons around the world.
Yeah.
I have been tortured. The last time I sailed to the very geographical center of South America, where I was arrested, my leg was broken, and I was locked up in my boat, which was pushed up on the shore in the jungle, with the mast broken and a hole in the bottom, so that the alligators could get in and kill me. I had 22 armed guards with machine guns surround it, and I couldn't get out of it. But I lived for the 10 months in temperatures of 45 degrees Celsius every day.
Wow.
Yes. Try and think about that. You couldn't live in more than 36?
You probably
45 degrees Celsius. Think about that every day. And every time I tried to get out, there's a guy there with a machine gun. Anyway, I can't open the door because it's just black clouds of big-nosed mosquitoes that attack me. And if I try and go up through the floor that they've ripped out of my boat, the alligators will get me, and the piranhas. But I survived.
Yeah, I would say that you were blessed, definitely blessed. Now, and fortunate. You may say fortunate. I'm going to say blessed. So
you say what you want. Like I said, I'm not going to contradict you. I'm just going to give you my history, and you work it out yourself.
Look, batata. I say blessed. You say fortunate. So lucky or whatever. So let me say this. How many different businesses? You're a fun guy. So how many different businesses? How many different businesses have you had in your whole life? It had to be 100. Hello? Oh my goodness. That was, hey people. He might come back. I don't know. No, I'm saying today. I'm definitely going to interview this guy again. You have to read about him. He's very
You
controversial.
asked me one question. I can answer that. How many businesses have I had?
How many different type
I
of
had
businesses?
81 different jobs before I was 18 years old. I had
Right.
sex with 73 girls before I was 18 years old.
Okay, no, I didn't ask that
I have
question.
been self-employed all my life.
Okay, I didn't ask about the girls. I'm sure that you had plenty of women. Yeah.
Well, each
So,
girl was in a different country and I learned a different culture.
okay,
So it was not only sex, but it was learning.
okay, okay. But let me ask you this. The question I want. Okay, so are you saying that you had 81 different types of businesses?
No, 81 different jobs.
Tell me how many different businesses did you have?
Well, I had 8 clubs in England and I had another 5 in Brazil.
Okay.
So that's just clubs. And they're the biggest and the best in the world.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever, denied that fact. The biggest and best clubs in the world. I don't work for other people. I always work for myself.
No, I agree with you.
I was a child.
No, I agree with you about the clubs. I saw the video and they were, that. Now, did you made your own boat, right?
Yeah. The first one ever in the world, 55-foot Airex foam, unsinkable. It would not sink. 5 cabins with a studio and a glass bottom, and 2 bathrooms with showers, a workshop, and a round cabin in the middle like an Indian dome house.
Right.
And I made that. And it took 3 years and 6 men.
Wow. And it was your brainchild. You just created that.
Yeah. I earned the money selling jewelry I made with my own hands on the streets of London, bending nails.
By the way, Mark Carter, the musician, songwriter, he actually made jewelry as well. So I don't know.
Good.
Yeah. But okay. But I can't see you, but don't worry about it. We know that you're there. Yeah. So what was your favorite business that you had?
The favorite was working at the rock and roll festivals.
Okay.
Around the world, around Europe, America, and England. That was my favorite.
And what made you the most money? Because I saw before you answer that question, I saw that you sold.
Well, let me just tell you, I made so much money at rock and roll festivals.
Okay.
That all the Hell's Angels were trying to rob me. So I used to dig a hole in the field and I wore a Moroccan cloak and I'd crouch down to have a shit. I'd dig a hole and shit in the hole and put my money in the hole with the shit. And then they wouldn't go after it. So I earned about £3,000 a day. That would be equivalent now to about £15,000 a day in cash.
Right. And now what pounds is like maybe.
That's pounds, yeah. That's pounds.
The American dollar is probably like 90%.
It's 1.5. If it's £20,000, it's $30,000.
You were doing it. You were doing it.
I was a millionaire at the age of 17.
Let me ask you this: what gave you all of this confidence? Was it your father?
I just have it, man. I have it. If you listen, if you go to my, please go my Twitter, which is Clive Kelly. Right. With a large C for the first Clive,
right,
and a large K for the second Kelly. Right. It's all one word, Clive Kelly.
Right.
You will see all my stories and photographs. You will see how much confidence I've got and how many people I have been teaching around the world. In South America, they thought I was another Jesus Christ, and they used to come and pray at the side of my boat. I had 150,000 people visit me in 10 days.
I might believe you. I might believe you. I think I believe you on that.
I can show you photographs. I'll show you photographs. Everybody left a piece of hair in the visitors book, all the children, and a photograph or a drawing. I still got these books here. And next time we do an interview, I get the books out and show you.
But tell me this, because here's your soapbox moment here. Great, to help to talk to the young people.
Right.
But we want to, I still consider my 50 is the new 30. I'm going to say 81 is the new 50. How about that?
Well, I'm 81, yes. I was born 17th
Yeah.
of the 7th,
Yeah.
1940.
But JC, the rapper, had a song that said, I think he said 40 is the new 20. So it's like 40 years old, but he felt like, you know, I feel happy. I feel like I'm 20. So I'm just saying, using his thing, 52, but I feel like the new 30. Okay. And for you, with the spirit and the wit is intact, my man. So I'm going to
Listen,
say,
I was sweeping the park just
Right.
last week, sweeping the park
right,
to get all the cigarette ends and the dirt
Right.
to stop it blowing into the duck
Right.
pond.
right,
I have energy.
right. So we're going to call you 81 is the new 50. How about that?
That's up to you.
Yeah, I'm going to say you got the energy there. I know you've been through a lot, but you know, you're still going strong. So what was I gonna say? Okay, so you said
I
that.
think you was going to arrange with me another date to continue this interview because my battery is very low. Maybe
Okay,
that's why
okay.
the vision's gone, the camera's gone, maybe
Let's
because I haven't got the power.
let's end it here, and just tell the people right before we go here, and where can they find you?
Well, when do you want to do it? We can do it tomorrow afternoon, Tuesday afternoon.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it in about 3 weeks or so, or 2 weeks. Don't worry about it. But
don't do it at night anymore. No
Okay.
more at night.
I'm gonna
I
do
go
it.
to bed at 6 o'clock.
Okay, we're gonna do it earlier than this time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
tell the people where they can find you.
They can find me at Clive Kelly at iCloud.com. Clive Kelly at iCloud.com. And the Clive Kelly is all one word, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
No, good. And is it okay to give your website out too? And
Yeah.
Okay.
The more you give my website, the better.
Okay.
www.cktbmm. That means Clive Kelly, the Beatles Manager's Minder. CKT, Clive Kelly, the Beatles Manager's Minder.com.
Okay. And what I want to say here your soapbox moment before you go, you have to do this. What do you have to say to the young people in terms, because what I want to get out here is that what I notice about you set your mind to do something and you did it. Nothing was impossible to you.
Well, it still isn't impossible. Nothing.
Where's that come from? That tenacity. Where does that come from?
That comes from being a bleeding slave of the English. You see, my father and mother became slaves of the English when they attacked Ireland. They stole all the food, the potatoes, and they attacked them and made the English into slaves. So I was brought up knowing that the English are corrupt and horrible people. And so I'm a rebel with a cause. I've got to go now. I'm going now.
Let me say, we're going to go now, but let me just say this. Okay. Okay, I hear what you're saying. But what I'm going to say to you that okay, people, you heard that.
Ireland does not belong to the English. They are the invaders.
Okay.
They will be thrown out. Brazil does not belong to the Portuguese. It belongs to the natural people of Brazil.
Okay.
America does not belong to the Americans. It belongs to the natural Indians of America.
Okay. Right. I hear your point of view, and
right.
I hear what you're saying. But what I want to say to the young people, just his ability just to believe in himself and to do a lot of great things and not scared.
Let me just tell you this. Listen, just let me finish because I'm going in a minute.
Okay, go ahead.
I am driven, motivated by great spirits of the dead, people who have died before me. My grandfather, my father, my mother, my Japanese girlfriend, who was the top Japanese girl in Brazil, who I lived with the Japanese as a Japanese with them, taking communal baths and all that sort of thing. I was
Okay.
Japanese for a few years.
Okay.
Now, they are the people that have died.
Okay.
And they are the people, and John Lennon, especially John Lennon,
Mhm.
they guide me. They tell me what to do. And
Right.
I have the faith, all the faith and love of myself,
Right.
because I am motivated by those people. So good night, my friend. I'll speak to you
Okay.
again.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Nice. Well, okay. Good night. Have a safe evening. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Bye bye. Bye bye. And okay. Bye. And people, it's an interesting guest. We're definitely going to have him back on again. Subscribe, like, and share
go.
and learn about him. And
Don't go yet, Jess. I might have a difficulty getting on.
You okay now?
Yeah, I'll see you. Just take
Okay.
this off. Go
Okay.
upstairs. Take that
Watch
off.
the video and share, and we're going to have him back on again.
You
Okay.
can see he's getting.
Okay.
Well,
Take care. Take care.
Yeah, you too.